classes designed the posters, and the print shop turned itself inside out doing the car placards. I even typed dozens of envelopes to the local newspapers, and Maureen was interviewed on TV, as Jimmy was on radio. The last big chore was weighing in the cars that were entered, because the weight of the cars and the occupants is used in figuring the final score. Saturday morning, the day of the run, I was out of the house by 6, and so were lots of others who jammed the station we were to start from, where the observers got their final instructions. They asked a lot of questions about how to score penalties for any infractions. The Ham Radio Club was checking with their mobile stations along the course. Placards were put on all cars entered, and so were strips of luminous paper to make it easier to pick out our run cars. Gas tanks were filled to the very brim, for free at that, and attendants marked the filler pipes so they could be refilled when the run was over to determine the exact amount of gas used. And then, for the first time, I noticed the weather. Gosh, if it rained now, how could we complete the course in 2 hours and 40 minutes? Mike was there, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and the law was there, too. Each car had a numbered sticker put on, and I drew number 45. Then Mr. Burton came up to introduce me to my observer, Mr. Samuelson, and told us we'd better weigh in and have the total entered into our official report. Our clowning Rover girl was getting her kicks, too. As a rib, she told Tay his observer was the vice principal. He just about died. But then Sally got his official observer, Freddie Agabashian, one of the country's top racing drivers. And was Tay thrilled. Now we'd have a chance to show a professional how good he was. 9 o'clock, and Maureen, the official timer, marked off the seconds for the first car to start. The weather looked worse, but this was it, and our chance to prove a lot of things to a lot of people. Jimmy, cagey character, made a real smooth start, maybe because the starter was a well-known judge. Starting time, as it must to all men, came for Tay Stevens. Whoops! Bet he lost a couple of gallons right there. Then at 10 minutes to 10 came my turn, and my heart a pounding lump in my throat. I was off and running. Making sure we flashed our turn indicators, we rolled up onto Bayshore Highway, and I saw the weather was getting even worse. But with the traffic and having to watch the speedometer and all the other things I had to do, I didn't have much time to worry. Of course, Tay, who knew he could drive better than anyone, sailed along blithely, not watching anything, like that 35-mile zone sign. And he never did argue Mr. Agabashian out of that penalty, or the other infractions he piled up. And then it hit us. Golly, rain. We all had to reduce our speed. We had lost so much time that when the rain stopped, it was a temptation to really tromp on those gas pedals. Now that we had been through overcast and rain, we ran into our next obstacle in trying to maintain the top legal speed. Fog. Good old fog to make us slow down again. But then, as it always does around our wonderful town, the fog washed away, and there, under the brilliant sunshine, was San Francisco itself. There were the little cable cars for which we are famous, clanging and bouncing along. There were the familiar steep hills. And before we knew it, we were into San Francisco's Chinatown. Believe me, there was little we missed on our 100-mile tour. Even the much-pictured Bay Bridge in the background, and the Embarcadero, with its tantalizing smells of spices and distant seas, and its 25-mile zone signs to slow us down again, just when the weather was better and time getting shorter and shorter. How about that? Glad I was down below and not swaying up there on the cables, despite the beauty of our renowned Golden Gate Bridge. And with the bridge not too crowded this Saturday morning, we were feeling better now about finishing the run on time. Down on the bridge itself, our cars rolled along. Later, we heard how deep an impression the skill of the teenage drivers had made on the adult observers, who all said the same thing once the run was over. Never in their lives had they had such legal rides. But I'm ahead of myself, because the run wasn't over yet. Thanks to the rain and fog we'd been through, time was getting shorter and shorter. Then as we started on our last lap of the figure-8 course, we still had almost 15 miles left. Then as we headed back to the bridge approaches, there it was again, rolling through the Golden Gate. Fog once more. By now, it was almost 11:40, and I knew the first cars should be back in town, approaching Polk and Hay Streets for the finish. But I didn't know that because of the rain and fog, all the officials were worried as the cars rolled back in just seconds under the time limit, some just missing being disqualified. It really was more exciting than the start, with every driver anxiously watching the pumps to see how little gasoline had been used, because even a few ounces could mean the difference between a winner and a loser. Then, with all the cars back, we trooped off to the victory luncheon and the announcements of the scores and the awarding of the trophies. Contestants sat with their friends and observers, while upstairs, computing machines clicked away, auditing the scores down to the last decimal point. If you go in for suspense, then this you would have loved. Talk about dismal luck. While we sat there...
But improvement can only come when all segments of the population join together in an effort dedicated to providing opportunities for these people. Not more welfare checks, but opportunity, so they can use their own willingness and ability to become self-sufficient citizens. For example, it is difficult for a small farmer like this one to get along in the fast-moving world around him. His gross income for the previous year was $3,500. Out of that, $3,000 had to be put back into farming, leaving $500 for his own use. He and his wife struggled with no running water, no plow of their own, low-lying wet land and fields full of rocks. They have some cows, but no money for the right kind of feed. As a result, the cows cannot produce as well as they should, and the farmer's income drops still lower. His chosen way of life becomes more and more difficult to maintain. He is ambitious, proud of the farm buildings that he built himself, sorry to have to owe money for necessities, and distressed at the prospect of losing his farm.
I know if I'd get the right amount of help, assistance on this farm, I know I could make a go of it, could make ends meet, and if I can't stay here, I would have to lose it. I surely wouldn't know what else to do, because I've done no other work in farming. I've been here all my life, and I sure would like to stay here.
When farmers leave, it affects the entire area.
At one time, there was large families living here. They made their living over the farm by farming the small fields. They raised their own vegetables in their own gardens. But it seems like that is all gone. It slipped away from us. If we could help them just a little to live in these small communities and make a home here, we think it would be of great benefit to our cities and also our rural areas. The loss of this type of farm, the family farm, has been a great disaster to our particular part of the world here. It has taken the people away from us. Our little communities, our towns have lost the trade and the business. The people have lost and the soil has lost. It's a losing proposition, and our whole philosophy of life out here, the family farm, is being destroyed.
Some communities are seeking ways to help the farmers and keep them on the land.
We've had a demonstration farm program in connection with our work to help improve on livestock and on having better crops and in building up the soil and various forms of conservation. But we have moved more to the project method in order to suggest ways in which our people can at least supplement their income. One of the things that we are trying to do is to carry on work at our sorghum mill. Here people raise cane and then bring it to the mill for processing. This is a project in which we have been able to get the people to take much of the initiative. We have provided some leadership, however. We have a full-time director of economic development in our program.
The purpose of this project, this sorghum project, is to help the people of this area to help themselves. What we are really trying to do is to help really two classes of people, those farmers who would bring cane in to the mill, and also to help those who might be able to work here at the mill.
One of the firm convictions that we do have about our mountain people is that they do want to help themselves if given an opportunity. It doesn't necessarily have to be a sorghum project, but we feel one of the most important things is that local communities organize themselves and attempt to work at helping themselves together rather than depending on someone else to come in from the outside and furnish all the resources in terms of leadership and finances. It'll mean most when local communities can organize themselves and develop projects together.
But industry is only part of the answer. Sometimes a relatively small improvement can mean the difference between success and failure.
The most important thing is, in this valley of ours here, is the water. Without water, we cannot do anything.
Every year, the people of this farming community put up a brush dam in an effort to get water for their crops. But every year, the dam washed away in the floods. Many people got discouraged, left their farms, and moved away. Those who remained refused to be defeated. This time, they worked with the state and federal governments and received technical help and some equipment. The people worked without any pay to build the new dam, and it has outlasted the floods.
The dam you see behind us now is the most important thing for the people in this community, and mostly because we made it with our own hands, and the people are very proud because they've done the work themselves.
Rural poverty involves more than the specific problems of farmers. Its effects are widespread. Children are especially hard hit. By nature, full of life, exuberant, eager to learn, children are crushed by poverty. Hunger, malnutrition, and disease often stifle these young lives before they have a chance to develop.
They're undernourished, malnourished rather. They get worms. Now, it's a pitiful thing to say, but 80 out of 100 children in some of these schools have parasitosis, which means worms.
It's common knowledge that literally thousands of children go to school each day and go throughout the day with anything to eat because they do not have lunchroom money.
This spray test makes sure sufficient water-repellent compound has been used to give the fabric adequate protection. This test duplicates various rainy weather conditions to see whether the fabric construction and its water-repellent finish are suitable for use in rainwear. Materials can be subjected to a spray equivalent to a light shower, a moderate rain, or a heavy rainstorm. Laboratory quality control is applied to many other fabrics too. Yard goods, for instance. In the yard goods sample room, buyers, manufacturers, and artists meet to plan production. Color, design, and style trends are the subjects of constant study and discussion. Hundreds of new prints are brought out each year. Designed and produced especially for the thousands of women who sew at home, these fabrics are not only excellent dress materials, but can be used for curtains and the many other things a clever woman can make at home. And now let's see what is done in the laboratory to ensure customer satisfaction. For one thing, these fabrics are tested in a laundrometer, a scientifically designed washing machine for laboratory use. The individual samples to be tested are attached to white test cloths and put in separate jars containing steel balls and a solution of soap and washing soda. These tests can be varied to duplicate different laundering conditions. They can be agitated, like this, for 45 minutes at 160 degrees to see whether the fabrics may safely be sent to an ordinary commercial laundry. To see the results, samples are removed from the jars and examined. This sample has failed the test, coloring the wash water, fading, and staining the white test cloth. This higher quality print has come through the test with flying colors, not a trace of fading or staining. In these machines, called fadometers, the exact degree of light fading can be tested for cottons, drapery, and upholstery materials, and fabrics used for making outdoor wear. Samples are exposed to rays of light relatively brighter than the sun, more than long enough to determine resistance to fading. At the end of the test, the part of the sample exposed to the light is compared with the part which was protected from the light. This sample shows considerable fading and will be rejected until a correction in the dye has been made. But the other sample has not faded at all and will be approved. Printed or dyed fabrics are tested for crocking to see whether the dye will rub off and stain other materials. This fine quality print did not stain the test cloth, but the other test cloth shows the result of a test on a fabric which was not approved. Colors may also fade and run due to the action of perspiration. This test will determine whether any of the textile fibers will be affected. Each sample is placed against a test cloth woven in strips of wool, rayon, silk, cotton, acetate, and nylon, wetted in synthetic perspiration, and then held under pressure and placed in an incubator kept at body temperature. Later, the samples are removed from the incubator and examined for color fading and staining of the test cloths. This sample has stained all of the strips of fabric, while the satisfactory sample has stained none of them. There's a very special test for acetate fabrics of certain colors for gas fading, which means color change due to atmospheric gases produced when air comes in contact with hot metal. And so the work of laboratory testing as a means of quality control continues. The fascinating application of scientific research and analysis to the problems of producing satisfactory merchandise for the customers in America's retail stores. The merchandise which, once it has been tested and approved, is stocked and sold by the retailers as a genuine service to the people in their communities. The continuing job of creating merchandise to meet precise human needs, is made possible only by modern methods of quality control. Whether it's hosiery, a pair of shoes, a shirt, or whatever the customer buys, it must represent the best value possible at the price. And responsible retailers can offer just such values, largely because of the part played by quality control in modern merchandising.
Although the faces of America's major cities seem relatively unchanged, a quiet revolution has been taking place there for nearly a decade. More than 1 million persons each year have pulled up stakes in the cities and turned commuter, traveling 20, 30, 40 or more miles each day from home to office, factory or business, and back again. Part of the lure of the suburb is in the greater elbow room it offers. Part of it is due to that relative newcomer to our economy, the budget-priced home. This symbol of modern American living has brought with it more than a changing landscape. It has changed a great industry. Keen competition in the booming home construction industry has forced re-examination of almost every time-honored method, with a view to improving quality and at the same time reducing.
We placed on the frames put these dwellings entirely out of the class of temporary housing. And yet the cost to the Navy of erecting these buildings was the lowest cost per unit of any similar housing project at that time. Well, that's the story on that particular project. We knew what we could do with strand steel framework. We were familiar with its economics during construction. And so we bid on the job carefully and got lower estimates from our subcontractors because their work was made a lot easier and faster with the steel framing. The speed with which we built the project was something of a record. They got earlier occupancy, and we got a faster return on our investment. Speaking for our firm, that's the kind of business we like. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, as they say. And that particular kind of pudding tastes right nice to us.
Yes, and the proof of a dwelling lies in the pleasure of those who dwell in it. Here are more homes, for instance, constructed with these same modern materials and methods. Homes where durability and lasting attractiveness are in great part a product of the strength and rigidity of their frames. Homes that are the best products of the new scientific post-war age. Homes that are clean and modern, designed in whatever style is the owner's choice, with individual personality and charm.
The house-to-house salesman symbolizes in a way the function of all salesmen, which is to bring goods or services to the attention of the consumer and to help the consumer buy. The good salesman helps the buyer. The measure of his success is not how many sales he makes, but how many customers he satisfies. Such salesmen are serving throughout the whole of our economy. From the mill, salesmen sell steel and other materials to manufacturers. Salesmen form the link between manufacturer and wholesaler. Salesmen bring the products of the wholesaler to the retail merchant. The retail merchant is also a salesman, helping the consumer buy. So, from manufacturer to ultimate consumer, the main links in our economic system are the salesmen.
Up all along the 500-mile route. Buffalo and Albany, the terminal cities, grew rapidly, and New York City became the greatest port city in the United States and eventually the world. Clinton's Folly, the critics called the Inland Waterway. How wrong they were. The Erie Canal became the thread that wove a far-flung nation into a unified America. An abandoned ditch choked with debris. This is a remnant, one of the original canal locks. 40 feet wide and 4 feet deep along most of the way, the canal seems pitifully small by modern standards, but in its day it was a monumental achievement. There were no roads to haul supplies. Its builders had no previous engineering experience and only the crudest of tools. The men cut through solid rock by hand and black powder, building 82 locks to overcome a difference of 571 feet between the water level of the Hudson River and Lake Erie. It took 8 years to complete. It would remain in use some 80 years. The task of replacing the old canal with a new waterway began in 1905 and continued for 13 years. The modern barge canal follows the picturesque pioneer route along part of its journey across New York State. Lock 2 at the eastern end of the new canal dramatizes the change from 19th to 20th century barge travel. Operated by electricity, each of the 57 locks can raise or lower a vessel in 20 minutes. The giant steel gates can be opened in 30 seconds. There is room for any vessel up to 300 feet in length. The depth of the waterway has been lowered from 4 to 12 feet. Now barges carrying up to 1,000 tons of cargo can make the canal voyage. Pushed snugly into Lock 2 at Waterford, this barge will be raised 33.5 feet at the start of its westward passage to Buffalo. Grain, chemicals, sugar, pig iron, heavy machinery, and fertilizers are the leading cargo shipments. As the rear gate shuts to enclose the barge within the lock, sluice gates open to pour water into the huge concrete chamber. The vessel rises swiftly and easily as if pushed upward by a powerful lift. In a few seconds, it is at the top of the lock. Ahead stretches a broad, fresh level of water, a highway that, since the Erie's opening, has been the main track of America's commercial development. The junction of the Hudson and Mohawk Rivers seen below made possible the conquest of the Allegheny Divide. The original canal utilized the Mohawk Valley, the middle link between the Great Lakes and the Hudson. Lock 17 at Little Falls has a lift of 40.5 feet, the highest in the system. Little Falls is typical of the cities that sprang up with the canal's completion and became busy centers of trade. In the 20 years after the Erie's opening, New York's population almost doubled. The Empire State had been born. The swirling currents of history have failed to diminish the commercial importance of the canal. Hundreds of ships use it every year, traveling upwards of 2 million miles with cargo loads. Each lock is 328 feet in length, 45 feet in width, and up to 50 feet in height. With all its branches, the Erie Canal is 9 times longer than the Panama Canal. In one stretch of 2 miles, the waterway drops 169 feet through 5 locks. This is the most remarkable flight of locks in the world. But the transformation along the banks of the Erie was even more spectacular. Lockport was, and still is, one of the important ports on the canal. 320 miles from the eastern end of the Erie, it owes its life to the pioneers who believed in Clinton's folly. The doubters were many. Even Thomas Jefferson had said, "To talk of making a canal 350 miles through a wilderness is little short of madness in this day." Today's vessel riding smoothly through the step-up at Lockport symbolizes the dreams that became deeds to make America great. A century ago, the cry, "Low Bridge," rang out on wooden canal boats as settlers dodged under old spans on their way west. The spirit of adventure that drove them on still rides the Erie Canal. No other waterway in America did what the Erie did. It was from the beginning a golden cord and bond in our national growth. At both ends, east and midwest, and in the middle, it rubbed Aladdin's lamp. America awoke, catching for the first time a sweeping look at its limitless future.
This film is one of a series on current affairs, presented as a public service by the Massachusetts Mutual Life Insurance Company, now in its 2nd century of service.
You'll find a scene like this in nearly every village, town, and city throughout the country. For in the hopes and dreams of everyone, there's a home they can call their own. Home brings a sense of security to a man. And to every woman, her home means a setting for gracious living. How do I know? Well, I'm a contractor. And over the years, I've helped a lot of people realize their dreams, building new houses and remodeling old ones too. And probably the most important step is the one these young people are going through right now.
And we'll have the living room right in here. And the kitchen right here so we can see the children playing in the yard.
Yeah, the children. Children? Say, how many are you planning on? Not more than 6, I hope. Maybe I better add a few more rooms back here at that.
Silly. And we have shrubbery, of course, right along in here. And, oh, darling, it's going to be just perfect.
That's right. It's the planning that makes all the difference between happiness and headaches as the years go by. For instance, have you two decided what material to use on the outside walls? Wood provides a number of possibilities. Or you might choose stucco, or brick, or stone. All of these materials have been adapted for sidewall use for hundreds of years. But suppose we look at a material designed especially for sidewalls. You know, industrial research has given us a lot of materials designed to do a specific job better and made to plan specifications. For instance, rayon and then nylon. Materials which make fabrics more beautiful and easier to care for than natural ones. And new plastic materials like this are light, strong, and durable. Industry, too, has created new materials for the home. Today's floors, for example, are made of a modern, resilient material, which is more colorful, more durable, and easier to clean. And science also created asbestos cement roofing, which has made buildings safer and more durable. This material, available in many types and colors, is not only attractive, but fireproof too. This same kind of scientific thinking was applied to the problem of sidewalls for the homes of America. In the development of a better siding material, rigid specifications were set up. It must be attractive, easy to handle, adjustable to architectural design, weatherproof, and rot-proof. Furthermore, it must be safe from the hazards of fire, and above all, free from constant maintenance expense. It was natural that the scientists would turn to asbestos, for this is a remarkable mineral. Actually stone, it is made up of tiny but extremely strong and flexible fibers. Combined with Portland cement, these fibers act as a reinforcing agent, just as steel rods are used to reinforce concrete. Being stone, asbestos will not burn. In fact, it is best known for its use in all fields of fire protection. And too, the great success of asbestos, combined with Portland cement in the roofing field, made it a natural choice in research for a better siding. So, from long testing and experiment, there came asbestos cement siding. Strong and tough, it could be handled and applied like ordinary shingles. It was given every conceivable test. It was absolutely fire safe, for even a torch couldn't burn it. And water couldn't harm it. It withstood all kinds of weather, sun, wind, snow, and sleet. This machine, called a weatherometer, in a few days duplicates years of weather conditions. This material won't rot or decay, so it doesn't need paint to preserve it. However, it can be painted if the homeowner desires. Laboratory tests are only half of the story. The actual use of this material on homes over the years is the final convincing proof. Here is an asbestos siding shingle nearly 15 years old, and here is a brand new one. As you can see, the old shingle is still attractive, still as strong and sturdy as the day it was made. In fact, it is actually denser and harder. And so asbestos cement took its place with other sidewall materials, wood, brick, stucco, and stone. And because this material was created specifically for the job of home building, it not only combines the advantages of the other materials, but makes possible important economies in building and maintenance costs. From the standpoint of appearance, this type of sidewall creates new and pleasing effects. But its use is not confined to new construction. Here, it is being applied to an old home, right over the existing sidewalls, under the critical eye of an applicating contractor, a specialist in modernization. These applicating contractors, using great talent and imagination, are turning old houses, often eyesores, into beautiful and gracious homes. These sidewalls have no limitation as to style, size, or geographical location. For example, this is the Woodbury Gardens development in Long Island, where wide use of asbestos cement shingles is made. And here in the Southern Homes development, these colorful sidewalls add beauty to the community. This contemporary home shows how modern asbestos materials can be adapted to any style or design. Notice how the asbestos cement sidewalls help add dignity and charm. And this is the Bissell Hills development in St. Louis. Here in the heart of the Midwest, amid the rolling foothills of the Ozarks, house siding is subject to extremes of heat and cold. And here in Glasgow Village, neither high humidity nor winter ice affect walls covered with asbestos cement siding. Now let's move to California. This is the El Dorado Ranchos development in Southern California. These homes reflect the colorful West Coast trend. Asbestos cement sidewalls are ideal here, for they come in many colors that are rich in tone. colors that will stay beautiful for a lifetime. And while these walls will never need protective painting, they can be painted if the owner should ever desire a new color scheme. And so it is, from New York to Los Angeles, from Miami to Seattle, in every climate, in every community, this new sidewall has brought better homes. To get a better idea of what people in the building business think of asbestos cement sidewalls, let's visit Mr. Randolph Evans, a nationally known architect. Mr. Evans, what do you think of asbestos cement siding as a sidewall for the homes you design?
I like it very much. We've been waiting for it a long time. Finally, modern research has come up with a color and a texture that is just as modern and as contemporary as the houses that we are trying to do. See, in this house, I've combined it with vertical siding to get a balance. And here, on this smaller house, the horizontal lines are used to emphasize the width of the house. This is a very popular type of ranch house. No other material will look as well on this type of house as asbestos cement siding. This is definitely a contribution to the homeowner. It's durable, it's attractive, and it's low in maintenance cost.
Well, thank you, Mr. Evans. And now let's go to Levittown, a modern garden community in Long Island, New York. A community designed for modern living. And here we find another authority, Mr. Norman Denny, Vice President for Materials of Levitt & Sons, builders of Levittown. Mr. Denny, we see that you're using asbestos cement siding on your homes. Can you tell us why?
Yes. These sidewalls help us create distinctive and attractive homes. Our customers like them. We've sold more than 17,000 homes here in Levittown. And in this business, a very important point is to figure your cost right down to the bone. This type sidewall is not only good, it's economical too. And more important, it helps us keep on schedule. It has a long life and a low cost of maintenance. And first, last, and always, our customers like them. And what they like, we like.
Thank you, Mr. Denny. And now let's talk to still another person. This is Mrs. Adams. Well, Mrs. Adams, we've been admiring your new home.
Well, it's not so new. In fact, it's over 30 years old.
Center in the heart of Alaska. Here is a growing community with paved streets, theaters, hotels, and stores. Most of the buildings, such as this hospital, are of wood, which is so plentiful here. The houses themselves tell the story of the growing town. Although modern houses such as these are being constructed, many log cabins are also built. Fairbanks is linked to the surrounding region by telephone and telegraph. It also has bus service to other towns in Alaska, and it is connected to the southern coast by the Alaska Railroad. The most important means of communication in Alaska are the radio and the airplane. Alaskans have been called the flyingest people in the world. And when we remember how big Alaska is and how much of it is covered with forests and mountains, we can understand why airplanes are the best means of getting from place to place. We have already seen something of Alaska's importance in the air age. The shortest air route from the United States to China, for example, passes through Fairbanks. Large planes have given Alaska a new place in world transportation. Small planes have solved the problem of local transportation, where they can land on small fields or on the countless rivers and lakes in Alaska's backcountry. On some planes, pontoons are replaced with skis in the winter for landing on ice and snow. Planes carry mail, furs, meat, medicines, livestock, supplies of every kind. Here, for instance, mining machinery weighing 900 pounds is being loaded into a plane. It will be flown over mountains to this mining camp in an isolated mountain valley. Here, the machinery is unloaded to be used in mining one of Alaska's most valuable minerals, gold. The glamour of the gold rush of 1898 has largely disappeared. Today, gold mining is a big industry, using mechanized methods. The old prospector with his pick and shovel has been replaced by the modern hydraulic miner. The early miners exhausted most of the gold on the surface, so today big dredges dig the gold ore that lies deeper in the earth. Gold mining is a valuable industry, but Alaska's greatest source of wealth is salmon fishing. More than half of the world's supply of salmon comes from Alaskan canneries. In June and July, the shallow waters of the Gulf of Alaska and of Bristol Bay are dotted with fishing boats. Fish are also caught in Alaska's many rivers. Here is Alaska's greatest treasure, the silver salmon, worth more to us than Alaskan gold. In addition to fishing and mining, agriculture is being developed as a new industry. Most of us have heard about the Matanuska colony in southern Alaska, begun by settlers from Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Like our early pioneers, these Americans faced the tough job of clearing the new land. But today, the fertile soil yields excellent crops, and the valley wilderness is being replaced with cultivated fields. Some farms are devoted to raising poultry, or hogs, or dairy cows. Dairy farming has proved to be profitable in Alaska today. But what about old Alaska, the land of the Eskimos? To see that, let's go from the Matanuska Valley to an Eskimo village near Nome. Of course, the trip is made by plane. Flying northward, we see one of Alaska's most magnificent sights, Mount McKinley, the highest mountain on the continent of North America. Here are jagged peaks and vast regions of ice and snow, a strange, cold world. The snow from the high slopes fills the deep valleys to form glaciers, the great frozen rivers that move slowly down to the lower valleys. There they melt to form glacial streams and rivers. Here on the coast of the Bering Sea, we find Eskimo villages, usually close to the water. Today, the Eskimos build wooden houses and are well acquainted with modern ways of living. However, many of them still wear the Eskimo jacket or parka, and they still live mainly by hunting and fishing. The men are skillful seamen and pursue seals and whales in the Arctic Ocean and in the Bering Sea. They still use boats made of wood covered with sealskin. This Eskimo woman is cutting whale meat into strips to hang in the sun. Open-air drying is a common method of preserving meat or fish for use in the winter. Native Eskimo life is one of Alaska's many tourist attractions. At Nome, visitors enjoy watching the Eskimo game of blanket tossing. The game is a great event for the fun-loving Eskimos. These friendly people are a part of the story of Alaska. That story is changing rapidly, from the old Alaska to the new Alaska, from the log cabin to the modern city. We haven't seen all of the story of Alaska because much of it will be happening in the future. At the State University near Fairbanks, young people are preparing for that future. Alaskans are working and building to improve their land, but there's still much to do. Developing a new state is a big job, which we can understand because we have seen how big Alaska is. We know, too, how important Alaska is to us because of its position in the air world. And we have seen Alaska's importance in terms of its natural wealth, the timber, the minerals, the fish, and the farmlands. And there is one more kind of wealth that Alaska has, its young American citizens, the children who will someday add their achievements to the story of Alaska.
to improve the condition of our animals. The National Humane Review is the magazine which the association publishes to integrate the work of the various societies. One of its more active committees is charged with providing assistance in both the formation and maintenance of local humane organizations. This assistance often takes the form of financial aid and is not necessarily limited to this country. When the Blitz bombings hit London, the American Humane Association sent material financial aid to the British societies caring for the animals in the devastated areas of England. Such assistance as this is in charge of the American Red Star, an organization within the American Humane Association that functions with respect to the animal kingdom in relatively the same manner as the Red Cross does to humans. During the recent Midwestern floods, the Red Star, working with the humane societies in the stricken regions, was instrumental in saving and caring for more than 12,000 animals. Since those hectic days of Henry Bergh in the late 1860s, more than 600 humane societies have been formed and are active today. And these are not only located in the large cities, they also exist in smaller communities. Size is no indication of their enthusiasm and the extent of their activities either. From this concerted strength have stemmed the many state and federal laws dealing with the care and treatment of animals, laws which are a credit to this country. But laws on statute books are of themselves just so many printed words. Enforcement and education are the implements that make them work. It is in these two fields that the humane societies of this country are paying back a part of the debt that we all owe to our animals. Today in almost every American city are to be found the public drinking troughs for animals, monuments to the life work of Henry Bergh. Where there is a humane organization, such scenes as this are attesting the energy and activity of enforcement. The agents of these societies, either paid workers or volunteers, are vested with police authority. They can arrest and bring to trial any who violate the laws protecting our animals. Their efforts meet with the full cooperation of municipal and state magistrates and other law enforcement authorities. The same watchfulness protects the pets that sometimes are in need of intercession against what may be mere carelessness, but is more often indifference. This protection extends beyond the animal kingdom, for these societies